Hello and welcome to Live and Dream, the Anand Sagar University's podcast channel. I'm your host, Dr. Sahil, and we have with us Dr. Ramesh, a former law professor of National Law School, India University, and a former vice chancellor of National Law School of India University. He is the advisor to the Chancellor of Vidyashilp University, Bangalore, and a distinguished professor at HNLU, Raipur, and a distinguished professor of Bangalore University. Sir, we welcome you to our podcast and thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you.
And thank you for gracing us with your presence.
It's a delight and a pleasure for me.
I would begin by asking you as to how you see law education to be different or law teaching to be unique or different from other forms.
The difference comes from the very conceptualization. Law, quite unlike any other human knowledge system that we have, cannot be straitjacketed into a particular discipline. The uniqueness of law lies in it being cutting across different disciplines, and it is something that draws from each of those disciplines, and from that the churning that occurs there would lead to a prescriptive code of conduct which we describe as law, and this is the tool or the device with the help of which we are attempting to reach justice. So that way, in terms of the very idea of law being different from all others, drawing from every other discipline, you cannot call it a discipline even. It is transdisciplinary in its very conceptualization, in its content, in its structure, in its form, and it is essentially something which is a vehicle for achieving a particular goal. That a problem in the society, a problem in a given situation would lead to the generation of a particular kind of a mechanism whereby you are going to find solutions. And that mechanism, that device, that vehicle you call as law.
Right.
So that way, law education cannot be like any other education, because you have a set syllabus, you have a very clearly prescribed, defined methodological approach or anything like that. Law does not conform to any of that. And law is in dynamic ferment, because it is something which is actually the result of the need of the time. And so it's constantly evolving. And since it is constantly evolving, law education also have to really catch up with that. And so the education that we talk of in law is not like any other education. It has twin purposes. One is preparing a professional who would be the carrier of this message that comes through a law school and be able to deliver it as and when required, depending on a situation in the profession. And so for that, the skill sets that are to be developed are different from the kind of skill sets that you're going to have for technology, medicine, or anything like that. So that way, the education that we have in law is more an experience and drawing from experience rather than something which is given in a text. Actually, you are applying the text to a context.
Law in motion.
Yeah, law in societal context. And so, it's essentially the idea that somebody who prescribes the law or makes the law is different from somebody who enforces the law. And the one who interprets the law is somebody else. So with the result that you need to connect all the three in education to make sense of the law, to make sense of administration, to make sense of interpretation, to reach that particular goal called as justice. And that's actually the task for a teacher.
So coming back to, as you said, connecting the three things of maker, implementer. So how does a teacher connects all these three in a classroom? I mean, with the difference, with the tools that are available.
Yeah, as far as a law teacher is concerned, he is not the lawmaker, he is not the law enforcer, he is not the law interpreter or adjudicator. So, he is in a unique position of viewing everything objectively. He is a constructive critic of all the three institutions of governance. And so, in teaching, that has to come. It is not just verbatim reproduction of what is there in a text of the law to the student. You need to really look to the background as to why this law came about. And second, what for? And third, what kind of a mechanism that you have developed, inbuilt one, as to find solutions for the problems which the law is supposed to address, and then look into the mindset with which the administration is enforcing it, and see whether the mindset is adequate, appropriate, effective, otherwise. And in fact, to start with the law itself, to see whether the lawmaker has really missed the bus, whether he has really responded to the needs of the time in coming up with a prescriptive code of conduct. The third one is the interpretation, that the gaps between lawmaking and law enforcement and its application, the interpreter is supposed to address that and ensure that those things get resolved. And if he does or if he doesn't do, well, it's for me as a teacher, I need to very clearly inform the students that there is something that was conceived, there was something that was actually put into application, and something else that was delivered, no match. There is a clear mismatch. So, at once the law teacher becomes, he does a kind of a parakai pravesh. He is getting into the mold of a lawmaker, law enforcer and law interpreter, all the three, and then distances himself from all the three and views them in a critical way and comes up with his own take as to how well things would look better. If the law is made like this, if the law is applied like this, if the law is interpreted this way, things would look better. So all this need have to be inculcated in a student, and so you have no choice but to draw from real life experiences to see how well you are going to apply to this particular situation. How does the administration respond? And if I were the judge, how I would interpret it? How has the judges interpreted in such situations? It's a very live thing. The classroom, it's quite unlike any discipline. That's how I visualize a law class, either within the four walls of a classroom or outside that. Law teaching is law learning. You are learning, and every day in your interactions with the students, you are just coming up with such ideas, because the young fresh minds, they come up with such questions which perhaps the lawmaker would not have encountered, which perhaps the enforcer would never have visualized, which the adjudicator would never have even thought about. And so you as a teacher, you have to think on your feet and respond. And so the skill set that is required for a teacher is something different from that of a lawmaker, law enforcer and interpreter, and something which would actually lead the student to the profession and to public life. So that's how I see law education, as something which is constantly evolving by itself. Once again, I would feel that what you teach this day, you cannot repeat the next day. Quite unlike any discipline.
So I also wanted to ask you, sir, AI being the buzzword these days, how do you think the role of teacher is changing with respect to not only digital aspect but with the AI coming into, pervading every aspect of our life?
This is a amazing challenge, I tell you, and it's a most welcome challenge for a law teacher. Gone are the days when you have certain kinds of set preparation to get into the classroom and then deliver a lecture. Now here you have a student who is well equipped in technology, so he knows the basics, or he's capable of knowing it, that I can anyway consult the computer, and with the help of which I can gather all the information. So you are not passing information to the student. That's one thing. So information AI can provide. AI can also really think like a human being and then give answers. And so it can do a bit of a substitution of a lawmaker, law enforcer and adjudicator. But a teacher can never be replicated, because teacher will have to renew himself every day, every moment. And the challenges that he faces is not the same as he faced the previous day. And AI, with all the fantastic tools and mechanisms that it provides, still not be able to think like a teacher, for the simple reason it's just like the human brain. You can replicate everything except the human brain, and AI cannot replace human brain. Teacher is like that. If a true teacher is like that, who should always think ahead and should certainly make use of AI to see what is the position with regard to teaching of this particular area in this way as AI would see it. Then move a step ahead. Imagination, the ability to innovate, is inherent in human beings. And a teacher should have to internalize that every moment that he is in a classroom, so that he should be a step ahead of that student to really make him get into the classroom. It's like making the student come back to the classroom, that there's something new, something different that I'm getting it than what I get it through AI.
So, going back to that statement of a true teacher, uh, what could be the attributes and what could a teacher of this era do to have, that semblance of being a true teacher?
My God, you are asking a question to somebody who is struggling to become a good teacher. There is nothing like a true teacher or a good teacher. And if anybody thinks that one is a true teacher or a good teacher, I think he becomes a dinosaur, a relic of the past. I think the growth, evolution will not occur. I think a teacher is someone who should always keep an open mind. See, this is the one equipment that a law teacher should have. The open mind, that notwithstanding whatever that the lawmaker has said, there should be something else. Whatever the interpreter has done, there must be some other way of doing things better. And so as a teacher, what I did today, I should always look for how do I do things better. In fact, as a teacher, Gurudev, you must know as much as I know, that once you introspect, after you go out of the class, you will have a private moment for yourself. You will know that what went wrong and what went right. And how did you do very well and how could you do better. I think that should be a lesson. So a teacher, to be a good teacher, not great or true teacher as you mentioned, to be a good teacher, I think you should remain a learner.
Keep reading is what
You are a learner. And learner does not mean that you will be reading. Reading is one part of it. All your faculties should be geared up to really be in that position of constantly observing, absorbing, filtering, and pick that which is most appropriate for the occasion. And you're in a live class, and in a live class, you cannot go with a set of ideas. You have some set of ideas, but as you go along, you should be in a position to really do things differently. Because the challenge, man, the current generation is so uh, very well informed, far better informed than our generation has been. And so, at least to measure up to that expectation and requirement, you need to constantly be thinking on your feet. Maybe not a tip to be a good teacher. I think that's logical. I feel that's how we are going to be in the classroom.
Experience can tell us.
Because many a time we talk of teaching methods and methodologies. None of this would work. At times in the classroom, there may be some problem in the hostel, and the students would come with an agitated mind to the classroom, and you have to talk to them about something on polluter pays principle in the classroom. What do? You have to get them into the mood of the class, right? And to get into the mood of the class, AI will not help you. You have to think of the situation and accordingly adapt yourself to that. And so you need to start with from where the agitation has started from the students, that what actually happened. You ask them for a couple of minutes. You appear to be a little disturbed, and I don't want you to be disturbed, because I get disturbed if you are not happy. So you get something out of that. It just happened to me once. See, I was invited to the Doon school, the famed institution, and the director there cautioned me, look, Professor Ramesh, you come from an esteemed institution, but these are from a very, very different kind of a background, elitist and all that kind of thing. To really get them into the classroom mood itself is a challenge. So don't go with too much of expectations. I said, I have no expectations. I will just get into the class. And there, it's just chaos. A boy and girl in a very animated conversation with each other. There was another group of students who were just having a kind of a spreadsheet of a newspaper, very intently looking at it, like that. So I had to talk to them about human rights. So as this, after usual introductions, which took a while for the one who was introducing me, and none of the students were interested in it. He's going to lecture on human rights, kindly pay attention, and he went off. This 1.5 hours was mine and the students. I told them, I'm not going to give any lecture. I just would like to be, I'm interested in knowing from those friends of mine who are sitting in the back rows, that you are reading something in the newspaper. Is it Times of India? He nodded. Then, what is there on page 3? Are you in page 3 or 2? Actually, I was looking at the supplement. Yeah, I'm looking at page 3. Okay, what is that? Is there an interesting thing about that? There is some kind of a violence against somebody, something. That's what he was telling me. Okay, is it a human rights issue, you think? Yeah, it looks like a human rights issue. Then I told him, I don't talk to you about human rights. I will talk about human left. See, it's just like in a cricket game. You are sending in a googly to really not upset them, to really get them interested. Look, something new is coming. They have heard of human right. They had not heard of human left. Well, what's that about? And I had the attention of the class. I could start my lecture. So I think you need to really think as you get into the classroom as to what kind of method that I should adopt. And there is no set method. And so you should keep an open mind. You should learn every day, and you should really try to put that into application, and law provides that wonderful opportunity of applying law to that context.
Said we are too much.
We are blessed. We law teachers are blessed because nobody else has this kind of an opportunity as we have. That we just don't have a set syllabus. We can set our own syllabus, we can set our own methodology. It depends upon the situation.
Every situation demands a different methodology. So I was going to come up with a question as to what methods do you prefer or you would have liked in your entire 5 decades of teaching. But as you answered, I mean, no particular.
I think yes, I have answered you. But yeah, I had this wonderful experience. I did 1 month long teachers training program on environmental law. These were the very early days of teaching environmental law. That was 97, 98, when we did not have teachers in environmental law. And as luck would have it, I became the first environmental law teacher in a law school setting. So at the end of 15 days, one of the, and all of them are your colleagues who are getting trained by you. And so you cannot get into the usual method of teaching. And you have to teach environmental law. You have to equip them and train them in that. And after 15 days, one person comes up and tells me, "Sir, you have adopted 16 methods of teaching environmental law." I did not realize. And he was narrating, "For this lecture, you delivered this way." So I think you have to adopt different tools, techniques and methods, depending on the situation. Adversarial method, fantastic. But narrative style, I don't think it's a banking concept. Narration has its own advantage. We had, in fact, I'm blessed to have such a great teacher. And in fact, all those traditional law teachers were of masters in this narration skill. And narration is not just storytelling. It's actually, look for example in Panchatantra. That's what the teacher does. He narrates stories. But those stories, each one has been chosen and delivered for certain purposes. And so, in the choice of the theme, in the choice of the illustration, and in the manner in which you are going to convey, I think you have to do a lot of preparation as a teacher. So, which method suits you best? Lecture method? Lecture method, I think, is actually the combination of more than a dozen methods of teaching. Lecture method is not it's not a peroration. It is not something that you are going to give a kind of a sermon on the mount to those who are going to listen to you.
It can have different elements.
Lecture, you can create drama within it. We had a fantastic teacher who would actually enact Hamlet in the classroom. Just a scene. Just to give an idea to the student that there is this legal problem, and dramatized. So dramatics may help, cartoons may help. In fact, I distinctly remember to have taught research methodology to research scholars by using about some 20 cartoons. I did not create any of the cartoons. I just picked it up from various sources, used them to serve my purpose. So, I think sky is the limit for your imagination and innovation as a teacher-in-law.
One thing that we see is that students have very less attention span. So the digital tools, I mean, are they being helpful to us or are they being a mode of distraction?
Absolutely. In fact, I also used to feel initially, because there is always resistance to change, isn't it? Anything new is not acceptable. We believe in a particular routine and we just don't want to change. But once you know, as our friends with the camera, they know it very well as to how to use that. Once you know how this could be of very great use to you. See, audio-visual medium is an amazing tool for learning. And many a time I've used some of those videos for teaching some of the court craft for my students. Very helpful. And why should it become a distraction? I think the distraction comes because we have become monotonous. Monotony is something that we have to avoid in the classroom. And a teacher should be a learner, a voracious reader, a researcher, all rolled into one. And he should always be able to be of help and assistance to the lawmaker in drafting law enforcer in coming up with a toolkit for implementation, should be able to help the judge in giving interpretations. As you grow as a teacher, in those 40-50 years, you would have done all that. And so, attracting the attention of the students is not a difficult thing at all. You become one with them. You know their mood, you know their mind, because you pass through that stage. And so you know what disturbs you, what disturbs them. And so, first address them. Get them to the groove. Then the rest is just a walk around the park. That's how I feel. Initially, it's always tough to draw their attention and getting into the mood of the class. So, giving them some material to read and come prepared, and preparing some 4 or 5 students to really take positions, and then making presentations in the class, getting into argumentation in the class, or you pick up arguments with the students in the classroom, and you take positions and they take positions, and then later come to a resolution. So, I think a lot of physical and mental calisthenics is involved in this exercise of teaching law for a student to make it interesting. No fault of the student, because in this digital age, attention span is 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and no more than that. So, every 4th or 5th minute, unconscious to them, you need to change the track so that he should still get interested. Otherwise, you will doze off. In fact, it becomes a monotony for you as a teacher to repeat what you did the last time. So, I make it a point every year. I used to have one of my research scholars to go with me to the class, to be my critic, not to suffer my lecture. And I make it a point as to see that a research scholar working with me would not be in my classroom for more than 2 or 3 years. Because in first year he would have made an assessment of what I am. In the second year he would become a critic. In the third year he would reform me. And he will be my eyes and ears in the classroom, how students would react. That's education, no? I sit with my research scholar at the class, start reviewing what we did. So, preparation is a lot. A lot of preparation is required, not just by reading and writing, a lot of observation. You must be all eyes and ears while being in the classroom. There is no escape. And this digital learning, distance learning that you have, poses another kind of a challenge, whereby your audience is not there before you physically, but they are in different parts of the world. So, in the use of the technology of communication, as a teacher from one corner of the globe to another part of the world, I think the tools and techniques that you adopt in the classroom will not do. It has to be a different kind of a thing. How do you keep them engaged? Somebody may switch it on and then go away. And there is enough ways whereby he can mask things, that without you knowing it, he may escape. So maybe it's better to have a few minutes whereby you make them think and then reflect upon that, give a pause of a couple of minutes, after about 15 minutes or so, a couple of minutes whereby they are supposed to respond to a query that you are going to pose in those 2 minutes, and those will be taken by one of those colleagues of yours who is working with you, who would be doing all the dissection and the digestion of it and making it available to you at the end of the class as to how each one have responded. Make it compulsory for each one to respond to each question. And that 2 minutes is meant for what they had heard the 15 minutes before. It's like taking a poll after every 15 minutes. I did try that, not in Indian universities, that's the problem. Indian universities are yet to pick that up. I did it with the students of, I had students from Singapore, US and Britain. Luckily, they're very well conversant in English and so not difficult, no difficulty in communication. The problem was about how do you keep some 300 odd students interested in it. So a poll was taken and I had already instructed that somebody needed to really take that poll and digest it and make it available to me before the end of the class, so that it will flash on the screen. That is the kind of responses we got. And I would reserve the last half an hour for an analysis of that. And whether you have paid attention or not the first hour and 15 minutes, the last half an hour you should pay attention, because I will be reviewing them. Like they review my performance, I would be doing that. So in a way you have to try all these new ideas. I think you will grow used to it as you get into that. New challenges poses, new challenges that are posed to you would offer you an opportunity to think differently.
So we began by this question of law education being unique in itself. So when we say law education is unique, how a law teacher has to be unique in that aspect? Has the preparation to be unique?
Yes. The preparation has to be tailor-made, custom-made for each group of people. See, you as a teacher, as you evolve, you are a teacher to your students in the classroom. You are a teacher to the student when you take them on a field trip, and field trip is a must, because talking about law in the classroom is different from law experienced in real life, and absorbing that idea for this group of students is different. So there they observe and then come up with ideas. So there your teaching is different. Actually you are leaving them with some preparation that this is the law that I am just discussing with you, and let us see how law in application operates. So you pick a particular situation, taking them to a prison in the case of criminal law, or taking them on a field trip to explain about an ecosystem that has evolved over a period of time, or taking them to a panchayat when you are going to talk about decentralization, like that, or talking to a legislator when they get into a meeting with a legislator. So for different occasions, different kinds of preparations are required. It cannot be the same kind of a thing. You cannot lecture.
Coming to this point,
you are actually preparing your student to ask questions to them. Thereby, their questions are going to be answered by somebody else, and you don't have to answer all the questions yourself. And when you get back to the classroom, what is the learning from this? That's what you gain from the students. And from that you consolidate and then put them together, that this is the learning that you need to have. So that is for the student. But besides being a teacher, you are also a trainer. Trainer and the one who is equipping somebody to get into the profession. Now, the skill sets that are required for somebody to become a good lawyer is different from becoming an academic. So, when you are going to give a training, this helps you. What you really do in the classroom, in picking out a case law and discussing it with the students about the precedential value, about the court craft, about the way in which arguments are made, what are the positions that are taken and things like that. When you do the training for the law professionals, because you will be invited, to train young law professionals in a particular chosen area, intellectual property law. The material that you give them, the methodology that you are going to adopt are different from what you do in the classroom. It's more application and more in displaying the skill and the ability to interpret the law in a particular way. And when you go to train a forest officer, neither of these will help. It has to be a different thing. How do I really implement this law? What kind of guidelines that I need to follow? What kind of standard operational procedures I must have? This is what he is interested in. It would be helpful if you ask the very same officer what kind of standard operational procedure you adopt in applying this law. You ask him. It's revealing, I tell you. The kind of innovations they come up with, you can take it back to the classroom and teach the students. So, a teacher is actually learning both in the classroom and in the training sessions with different sectors of people who are going to really come to listen to him and then get trained. An industrialist, a law professional, somebody who is a pollution control board man. That experience, they are sharing their experience with you, that you are going to bring it to the classroom. Look, in this particular situation, it happened like this for this officer. How do you react? You ask the question to the student. Some answers would come. So, you don't need to know all the answers. But in the process, you will be able to come up with answers.
True. Sir, any particular advice or message to young teachers?
No message, but the only thing that I can convey to my colleagues is don't consider law teaching profession as just like any other profession. It is not 9 to 5 working hours kind of an arrangement. It is not like mechanically studying something and then delivering it in the classroom as you do in an examination. It is fun, enjoy, and only when you enjoy what you teach, you can be a good teacher. And your enjoyment comes only when you have seen the eyes of the student light up, of recognition, of realization, and you realize that that particular day that you as a teacher you have taught is worth it. So don't consider it as a job, don't consider it as a something which is that of an employer and employee relationship that you have as a teacher. You are in a unique position. Here is a place where you are paid for studying, you are paid for doing research, you are paid for somebody to come and listen to you. You don't have to get people come to you and you deliver your thoughts to them. So this is the most blessed profession that you have. Make the most of it. Every moment of it, you enjoy, you live. And no shortcut to success. You have to work hard. All the 24 hours is something that you need to be engaged. It's not that you don't have time to relax. In fact, in the classroom you relax. Once you start enjoying things, you relax a lot. It's not just that I need time to unwind myself. Many a time I have done lectures right from morning till evening, because those early days of environmental law teaching and training, I had to do the training for all the government people in different parts of India. And there were times when I had to have a session started at 10 o'clock in the morning and concluding at 5 o'clock. From morning 10 till 5 I had to engage them. So I would engage them. I thought that it is not I who is teaching them. I, along with these 50 other participants who are there, they are my co-teachers. We will work together in partnership and then try to understand these things. Make students your partners in learning. Once they feel that this is something that we also own with him, that sense of ownership and sense of belonging they get, I think you have a very smooth ride as a teacher.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know some of the tricks. Thank you for your insights and anecdotes from your experiences. We are really grateful to have you here, and thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.